say it's Marvel Battleground. This is bracket 2. This is the thing you've been waiting for to see. And we have 3 competitors competing in a triple threat match. Let me introduce them now and let them get their words out before I introduce my judges who are joining me. Let's introduce Nick first. Nick, tell us a little about yourself. Tell us why you're excited for this match.
What's going on, everyone? My name is Nick. Seems like whenever hi Jay. Seems like whenever someone needs someone to come in and beat Jay's ass, they give me a call. So here I am today. Matt, I haven't met you before. You seem like a lovely person, but you know, got to take you down as well. Everyone knows my name. You know it. It's Nicholas Twohig. You see, everyone knows my name. Bring it on. Let's go.
Next up, we got Jay. Jay, how do you feel about that intro that you just heard? He said he's going to whoop that ass.
Hi, Dr. Nick. That's about as relevant as you are, bud. You're a fucking side character. You're playing against the drunken master and a man who loves his marbles. So go eat a dick. Whoever the hell else we're playing against, you can eat a dick too, even if you seem like a nice person. Our judges, just give me your Venmo names and we'll get this shit done.
All right, so Jay, you know, going with the devious kind of methods of bribing the judges. Trust us, none of us took bribes, I promise. Wink, wink. No, I promise. I'm serious about that. And last, but certainly not least, he was just the last to pick out of the hat for this bracket. Matt, go ahead and tell us why you're excited to be a part of this match, man.
What's up, guys? I'm Matt. I'm excited. Know a lot about Marvel. Been watching movies, reading the comics for a very long time, and I don't know about getting my ass kicked, but we'll see how it goes today. First time, so.
All right, so first, accompanying me, let's introduce him here. Alec, go tell him why you're glad to be here for being a judge. Tell us what's up.
What's up, man? I'm already excited. This is getting heated, and I love it. All right. I just can't wait for some heated battles and about one of my favorite topics, which is Marvel. Let's get it.
Good stuff. Next up is Ruben. Tell us about yourself, man.
I haven't had the opportunity to play any of these matches yet. I actually wanted to sign up for this tournament. I just missed it. So I'm going to do the next best thing and kind of decide the fate for all the people that are competing instead. So at least I have some say in the matter. Good luck, guys, because I'm a pretty strict Marvel fan. So.
All right, so he said he's going to Thanos snap you all out of here so he can join later, I guess. That's how he rolls. Anyway, we're going with Kirk next. Kirk, man, I've judged with you before. I know you're pretty much down for whatever, and you're pretty much ready to rock and roll. Tell the people exactly why you're excited to be a part of this match.
I'm excited. This is my second match judging Nick and Jay, and it's always a fun experience. I'm sure Matt's just going to spice things up even more. And, you know, Marvel just raises the stakes even higher, so I'm ready to get into it.
All right, sounds good. Short and sweet, and I like it. So, real quick, I'm going to go over the rules with everybody. There are 4 main round questions. If we get past that, I'll go over every other rule. But the 4 main round questions, you have 90 seconds for your intro. Then a 5-minute debate between the 3 of you. Again, what we want to do is try and keep this where everybody can hear your arguments, so make sure not to try and step over too much. I understand this is a fight and a debate, but let's keep it civil. And then last but not least, you have a minute closer. And then we'll go into it from there. All right, let's jump into the first question. And the first question is worst Marvel movie. And we're going to go ahead and kick it over to Nick first. Nick, as soon as you start speaking, you got your 90 seconds. Let us know what your worst Marvel movie is.
Ladies and gentlemen, I love Marvel. I do. I love everything Marvel puts out. But I got to say, there's been a couple of crap movies attached to their brand. And the clear winner for worst Marvel movie is, it goes by many names. You might know it as the Fantastic Four Babies. You might know it as Josh Trank's Fantastic Four from 2015. You might know it as its actual name, Fant Four Stick. What a stupid title for such a stupid movie. The other 2 movies, which I'll get into, I don't necessarily think are that bad. Fantastic Four is absolute garbage. It's cast with great actors, which only makes it that much worse. They have a great premise that had already been tried once, so they literally looked and saw what not to do, and they somehow made it even worse. They ruined one of the best Marvel villains of all time. They ruined Marvel's first family. It was a stupid storyline, and you could tell by the last third of the movie, the director completely gave up. So Fan Four Stick is terrible. Fight me. I concede.
I like it. I like it short and kind of sweet, but saying "fuck you, Fantastic Four." Next, we're gonna go to Jay. Jay, tell us what your worst Marvel movie is.
When I look for the worst movie, I look for the movie that does disservice to a character that we all love. And there's only one movie out there that truly does a disservice to that character. That's X-Men Origins Wolverine. This is literally the worst pile of shit that Marvel has ever put out. Regardless of what you might think, this is the worst movie. The CGI is terrible. The acting is trash. The director doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. Plus, you get this bullshit. No, I'll save that, and I will yield the rest of my time.
All right, Jay went with X-Men Wolverine. Nick went with Fantastic Four, the Josh Trank tragedy. And Matt, go ahead. You got 90 seconds where you talk. What is your worst Marvel movie that you think?
All right, guys. So I'm not going to dispute that the two movies the gentleman before me listed are good movies, but I think there's one far worse, and that is Blade Trinity from 2004. Now, one of the most egregious things I think this movie did was coming off of Blade 2, which I think before, was one of the better sequels. It might even be better than the first Blade. I mean, Guillermo del Toro directed that. You get David Goyer, who wrote the first couple, to do this one, who I don't know if he'd ever directed anything before, and he might be one of the worst screenwriters I've ever worked with, seen, but Blade Trinity is just all around just terrible. Wesley Snipes phoned in a performance there. You got Ryan Reynolds, you don't even know what he's doing in this movie. Parker Posey's the villain. I'll yield the rest of my time for the full-on debate, but Blade Trinity's terrible.
All right, so we got Fantastic Four, the Josh Trank trilogy, just tragedy movie. X-Men Wolverine, which terribly destroyed a character which might not have gotten a redemption, and Blade Trinity, the one that destroyed Wesley Snipes' career. Anyway, so let's see what happens here. I'm not going to do any more of this. You guys got 5 minutes on the board for the first person that speaks. Bring it.
I'm going to say it right now. I like X-Men Origins. Come at me. I don't care. I like it. It's good.
I'm not going to be drawn into that trap, sir.
Hugh Jackman is good as Wolverine. I get it. The beginning he's all lovey-dovey. We don't like to see that. We don't like to see our superheroes all lovey-dovey. Love interest dies immediately, and we get to see Hugh Jackman as an angry, vengeance-filled Wolverine. Yes, they ruined Deadpool by the end, but at the beginning, Ryan Reynolds is a good Deadpool. There's good casting in that movie, even if the story doesn't totally come together. You have a good.
That's not Deadpool. That's Wade Wilson. Let's not go there. Let's not go there.
For the beginning, people say it's one of the best sequences in all comic book movies, and that's Hugh Jackman and Liev Schreiber fighting through all the wars as Sabretooth and Wolverine. There's good.
Liev Schreiber's great in that movie.
Okay, so that's the thing. You can have great actors in a shitty movie. You're going to tell me that that's never happened throughout all of history? No. Your movie's not necessarily all that bad. Blade Trinity is the finalization of a story. Fan Four Stick is more of a game of corporate chess. They needed to make that movie. They didn't necessarily need to go all out for it. They needed to make it to retain rights to it. That's why yours exists. It doesn't necessarily make it a bad movie. Did they make some bad choices? Yes, but none of those choices are clearly as bad as Blade Trinity. Blade Trinity took what you could consider the ultimate villainous vampire, Dracula, and made him a badass. He's supposed to be old and decrepit. But what did you do? You sexed him up for the new age? You know what you don't have to do?
Why are you helping him?
Hold on.
Okay.
I'm just going to let him do my argument for me. It's helping. Yeah.
Hold on. Because what you don't do is all of that. Now, when you look at X-Men Origins Wolverine, this is the worst movie of all time, regardless of a couple of good scenes. Look at what you've got. You've got a Deadpool with fucking katanas coming out of his arms, Wolverine getting shot in the face, but somehow that doesn't make any sense. But this is an origin movie, but we already know him from the X-Men. How are you going to take what was the best superhero at that point in time outside of the MCU's Iron Man and basically kind of kill him, but really fuck up everything that's going on in your story where it doesn't even match up with what we've seen before? Yeah, no. Sorry. That doesn't make any sense to me.
So with Blade Trinity, I mean, X-Men Origins Wolverine, there's like some gems in that movie, outside of just some of the performances, like some of the stuff they introduced, like it gives deeper into the Weapon X program and all the stuff he was doing before, like when he had the bone claws and stuff like that. Blade Trinity introduces nothing of significant value. You could tell Wesley Snipes didn't want to be there. Patton Oswalt, who was in the movie and talks about how he would just smoke weed in his trailer the whole time and like refuse to come to set on time. You got Jessica Biel in there, is like she's got to listen to her iPod when she's like fighting people, and then Triple H is a vampire. This movie's it's just ridiculous. It's clearly like, this sounds cool in 2004. Let's just throw this in this movie.
Here's my thing with both of your openings, is you talked a lot about expectations being let down. I don't think that necessarily makes a bad movie. You both talked about how you had great characters or great franchises that were halted by this movie. That just means they weren't as good at what was previous to them. That doesn't necessarily make them terrible. What preceded mine were two awful Fantastic Four movies, and somehow this one was still worse than that. You had good stuff before it that just, there was no way a third movie or a spin-off movie could live up to that. Whereas mine had everything going for it, and you can tell that the director, the characters just gave up. Michael B. Jordan phones it in. Miles Teller phones it in, has no chemistry whatsoever with Kate Mara or Jamie Bell, who's supposed to be his best friend. Jamie Bell and Michael Jordan suddenly develop a bro-y relationship in the last 5 seconds. It's so lazy. It's more rushed than the ending of Game of Thrones. There, I said it.
Oh, yikes. Fucking Tim Story's Fantastic Four movies are definitely bad. I don't know if they're better than Josh Trank's, though.
100%.
Yeah.
I highly disagree.
With Fan Four Stick, I think the first hour of that movie is pretty decent. I think the whole thing with the studio jumping in and Josh Trank being kind of pulled off the film, I don't know if we'll ever see what the film actually meant to be. For all we know, it would have been a masterpiece.
You said decent. I think you meant to say boring. It's just Miles Teller sitting around talking a lot about science stuff.
I don't. I see.
It's really not engaging. Mr. Fantastic isn't supposed to be a young teenager played by the dude from Whiplash, which I love, by the way, but that person isn't Reed Richards. Okay, go ahead.
Kind of. I mean, he is in certain comics, but you know what you don't have? What? A fucking discombobulated Wolverine who doesn't know what he's doing, whether he's living in the past or whether he's living in the present, and somehow, regardless of where he's at, he always has a flashback. There are like 19 flashback scenes in fucking X-Men Origins Wolverine, and it's unnecessary. You add
That's
things.
time.
All right. Just gonna say, Jesus, guys. All right, this is gonna be fun. Since we started with Nick, we're gonna go to Jay first. You have 60 seconds for your close. Remember, guys, this is worst Marvel movie. Explain it to me with your close.
One great scene from a movie cannot make a movie great. What doesn't make this movie great is everything else that comes along with it, from Will.i.am's Wraith to the Bob to the Blob. Just everything. Remy LeBeau in this movie's trash. Also, there's just so much there was so much potential for this movie to be excellent. It's not even about setting up expectations. It's about meeting like common basic data. It doesn't matter whether or not the movie was supposed to be good. You had all of this presented and laid out, and you still couldn't even like break even. You couldn't make par. With the other two movies, one is the final in a trilogy. The third movie's never the best, but that doesn't mean it's the worst. And the other one, it's a rights issue that turned out to be a moderately okay movie. Time.
All right. Next up, we got Matt. Explain to me why Blade Trinity is the worst Marvel movie.
So, what is a Trinity? A Trinity is a group of 3 things. So they knew going in this was going to be the final film, and they made every poor decision they could have made and just crapped all over what the first 2 movies had built up. I think nobody wanted to be there. Nobody wanted to make this clearly, like the way it was made. With the other 2 films, I mean, X-Men Origins Wolverine, if anything, it gave us X-Men First Class because they scrapped that X-Men Origins Magneto movie and gave us a really good movie. And then with Fan Stick, again, I think it wasn't that great. It's not a great movie, but if anything, it's decent enough for at least an hour. It's entertaining. I'll rewatch that before I rewatch Blade Trinity. Time.
All right, Nick, you're last up, man. Tell us why yours is the worst and theirs is better. 60 seconds on the clock when you start.
Feel I haven't hit on Blade Trinity enough. You still get Wesley Snipes as Blade. That's great. You still get Ryan Reynolds, which a lot of critics actually like, and he's actually kind of funny in the movie. Sure, it's kind of mad, but you only dislike it because it's worse than the 2 movies that came before it. That doesn't make it the worst movie overall. X-Men Origins Wolverine, it's fun. It's a guilty pleasure. You still get Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. You still get Ryan Reynolds as Wade Wilson. Those are 2 good characters. You still get good sequences. You get good sequences in Blade. Both of you admitted mine's terrible. You think it's okay. You've never said anything good about it, anything specific, other than the first hour, which is just Miles Teller going around spouting boring science nonsense, which makes no sense to anyone. He's a teenager. It's not supposed to be a teenager. It's stupid. None of them have chemistry. They're all bad actors in the movie. And they overpower a villain. They give him the ability to blow people's heads off. How does he not win? Because he stops using that power just to go back to his world. It makes no sense. There's another sky beam. We're sick of sky beams. This movie is garbage. And your choices are pretty good. I like them.
All right. So getting with the last humble pitch of that, your choices were all right. I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Alec first. Alec, tell me how you're feeling about this match so far, man. It's a brutal one.
Yeah, man, it is brutal. It's always tough to try and say when 2 other bad movies are better than your bad movie. So it's always an uphill battle, I think. But I think the person who did the best explaining why their movie was the worst and the other guys kind of had a hard time refuting it is Nick with Fan Stick. There was so much about why that movie was bad that he was explaining, and Jay was saying like it was just a chess piece. It doesn't make it not a bad movie though, just because they directed it. So I'm gonna have to go with Nick on this one.
All right, Alec. Moving on to Ruben. Tell me how you're feeling, man. What are you feeling about this match?
Yeah, it was spicy. It was there was a lot of fire. I like it. I feel like two of you guys kind of didn't really focus. So when I saw this category, I was kind of expecting you guys. What I wanted to see from you guys was a debate between why the other 2 movies were better than your specific movie. And I felt like Matt, I felt like you focused too much on name dropping. I heard a lot of like cast talk about the director and stuff like that, talking about them specifically, but you didn't exactly explain to me why the other 2 movies were better than your movie. And I kind of felt, Jay, you kind of went the opposite way of Matt too much, where you were talking about how horrible your movie was. You were talking about your movie, but you weren't really convincing me as to why the other 2 movies were better than your movie. So therefore, Nick, I thought you brought up a great thing about expectations and coming into this movie, since the first ones before this were already horrible, and this one was even worse. I thought you did really well explaining how the villain kind of sucked and is the best villain in the Marvel. And I thought that you brought up a lot of great facts about the other 2, why they were better than your movie. So I have to give it to Nick.
Thank you, sir.
All right, let's move on to question 2. And guys, it's a long match, so you're still in it. Fight. That's what I want to see. I want to see a good fight. Question 2. With Dark Phoenix's release, what Marvel comic storyline that hasn't already been adapted should be? And we're gonna go to Jay first. Jay, 90 seconds on the clock. Give it to me. What storyline you going with?
Cliffhanger version. It's called Original Sin. It's basically the death of Uatu, who killed the Watcher, and it really is at its core a murder mystery with some suspense thrown in. But basically, the main point is Uatu has died. The fact that he's died leaves no Watcher around, and his eyes have seen everything, so they've plucked out his eyes. What they're looking to do is get those back, because as the Watcher, he sees everything. If anybody taps into his eyes, they know all the dirty secrets of the entire 616 universe. It's not what you want. So what you have is, it's crazy, and it's really difficult to explain in 90 seconds. I wish we had a little bit more time. I might use my minute on this. But there's just so much going on in this, and it's got such a great ending. It's amazing, and I'll get into it in the 5 minutes.
All right, Jay's going with Original Sin. Next up, we got Matt. Matt, what's your storyline you're going with, and tell me why.
Okay, I'm going with the Secret Wars storyline, the 2015 storyline. The reason why I chose this one is because with the release of Avengers Endgame, minor spoilers, it sets up like parallel universes and kind of like a multiverse. So why not we just, since now we're getting all this extra stuff put in, why not we just kind of throw it all together in this destruction and creation of the battle world? I think now that they have Fox, they can bring Doctor Doom into it, who has a really major part in that storyline. And then it also will give more stuff for Doctor Strange to do and stuff. And there's a lot of interesting concepts that they can introduce in the Secret Wars storyline.
All right, Secret Wars 2015. So far, I like both your choices. Let's go to Nick. What we got, Nick? What's your storyline?
All right.
9 seconds on the clock when you start talking.
Okay. I'm going to say something a little controversial. It might be a little tough to get you guys on board, but I'm going to do my best. It's time we retire Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool. It's time we give him one more movie and send him off in a swan song with a great third movie, and that third movie will be based around Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe. I love this story. It embodies everything perfect about Deadpool, and it is the way, I'm telling you right now, it's the way to say goodbye to the Fox X-Men, because eventually they're going to join the Marvel Universe, and I'm sorry, if you keep any casting the same, even if it's Ryan Reynolds, it's only going to cause confusion, and it's only going to tie back to a universe that, in my opinion, has more bad movies than good. So Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe. Basically, it starts out, Deadpool is killing all his friends. He goes person by person. He kills the Punisher. He kills he kills everyone. He kills the Fantastic Four. He kills Wolverine. There's a great moment in it where okay, so basically he's doing all this because, and you won't find out till the end, but he's found out that he's living inside a comic book, and he knows that none of it matters. And at the end of the comic book, he goes into the writer's room of the writers who are actually writing the comic book, and he kills he doesn't kill them, but it basically suggests that he kills them. He says, okay, watch what I'm going to do now. How great would it be for him to walk into the editing studio at the end of this movie, or the director's chair, and kill the crew that's actually working on the movie after he's killed off all the X-Men we've come to know, as a way to say goodbye to that universe. We're going to get everyone back. He can go into the future. He has Cable's time thing. He can kill Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen. He can go back in time, kill Fassbender and McAvoy. It's time to say goodbye to this universe, which has done great, but if we let it keep going, Ryan Reynolds is going to take the route of time in the Pirates franchise.
All right, so it sounds like you're going to adapt Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe, but actually make it the Fox Marvel Universe?
Yes.
Just for clarification, so everybody knows where they're at. Okay, so we got Jay with Original Sin. We got Matt with Secret Wars 2015, and Nick with his own version of Deadpool kills the Fox Marvel Universe. And guys, 5 minutes on the board when you start talking.
Nobody wants to see gun violence in movies. It's too real. We already see it on TV. Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe or Fox Marvel Universe. Disney's never going to let that happen. Nice try. Secret Wars 2018. Nobody wants to see Marvel 6110 and Marvel 616 collide. Nobody needs a God Emperor Doom. We already got one of those fucking chuckleheads in the White House. The best thing you can do is a murder mystery. All of what they've already done and shown and proved that can be successful in the Marvel Universe.
John Wick just got a 4th sequel. What do you mean no one wants to see gun violence?
Yeah.
the first Deadpool movie.
We're talking in the Marvel Universe here, sir.
Disney has already said they're not going to change anything about Deadpool, and I'm telling you, it's time.
Disney's never going to let them run Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe.
Do. I also want Hugh Jackman back, even though he said he's not going to come back. The logistics don't matter. I'm telling what I want to happen, what I'm pitching.
And I'm telling you, as a legitimate thing, it will never happen. You might want this to be made. It's your choice to choose that this would be made. It'll never happen, though. That's just it, especially with the company who owns the rights to it.
I don't think that's the point. I'm pitching a good movie, whether it happens or not. It's the pitch that matters.
You're talking about logistics. You said it yourself. If your movie is too violent and the parent company who owns the company that makes this movie says we're not going to make this movie, guess what's going to happen? Your movie's not going to get made. Your movie's going to sit blacklisted. It might be a good idea, but nobody's ever going to make your movie. Secret Wars, nobody wants to see this again.
I'm not sure. With Uatu the Watcher, like they barely set him up. He kind of saw him in Guardians 2, maybe, but I feel like the concept, I mean, if you talk about violence, like the guy's getting the eyes ripped out of his head and it's like a murder.
You
But,
have,
I mean, I feel like
you have
with
smaller
Secret-
scenes of violence in mind. Sorry, I don't mean to step over you. You have smaller
No, you're
scenes.
cool.
You have smaller scenes of violence in mind than a movie literally entitled Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe. And the entire thing behind yours is that two universes that are in the same thing are colliding. Billions of trillions of things are going to die in yours. Mine is technically the least violent of all if you look at it in a scope.
Yeah, but they already killed off half the universe in Infinity War, so it wouldn't be too much
But
of a
they brought
shock
them
if
back,
they did-
right?
Since when
They
is
did
violence
bring them-
a bad thing in comic book movies?
I mean,
They brought them
I didn't
back.
think
you know,
it-
Secret
right.
Wars went into-
Okoye
There's really
stabs
only-
friggin' what's his name?
There's really only one person in my movie who dies, and it's Uatu, and everybody else is a life model decoy. They're replicas, they're robots. But
So it sounds like I wouldn't be attached to any of them. Sounds like I wouldn't care about any of them.
they're all Nick Fury. All of the robots are Nick Fury. So what's it matter? Your movie's not going to get made. Your movie is way too complicated.
I think we need to go forth on the assumption that all these movies are going to be made.
No, I can't.
need
You
their story points
can't
and-
legitimately say that, though. That's just it. You have to take rationality into this, and rationale dictates that your movie never going to get made. Sorry, Nick, I love you, but
Love
what
you,
would you
brother.
rather? What would you rather do? Would you rather see Nick Fury take over the position of the Watcher, the unseen, as he is in the movie, and then you get Bucky Barnes, who isn't Captain America at this point in time, who isn't the Winter Soldier, becomes the man on the wall, the man who protects the Earth from everything that's deemed too dangerous for the Avengers to not handle.
You're telling me that Sebastian Stan Winter Soldier that we've set up in the Marvel Universe is going to be believed as the person who guards the entire Earth?
No, I don't think he would do
Yeah.
that. He didn't want to be Captain America. Why would he want to protect?
He
the
didn't get a
entire
choice
universe?
to be Captain America.
I'm
That's
sure
just-
that was discussed.
He
between
didn't
them.
get a choice to be Captain America. That's just it. But what do you want as a person who protects the Earth? You want a trained killer. It doesn't matter. You're not here to talk. You're not here to talk
1
politics
minute.
with them. You're here to end them and stop the threat.
I'm using my minute extension also, if that's all right.
I mean, we got to go before. You got to say that
oh,
before.
does it
right?
have to be before?
Yeah.
Okay, never mind then.
I think Nick's allowing it.
Okay. Secret Wars. It sounds too complex. I don't think we're there yet. We just opened up another parallel universe in Spider-Man. We're not to a point where we can open up all these parallel universes to get everyone together. I don't think we're there yet.
I'm saying this would be like the second saga. Like this first group of 22 films was Infinity Saga. Next one could be Secret Wars, and it just builds up
Like ending in Secret
Doom.
Wars.
Since now we don't giant big bad like we did.
Okay.
Yeah.
I still think it's just too
Like
complicated.
it'll be building up
We have a
to
lot
Secret
to go
Wars.
to get there. Mine right now would put an amazing cap on a universe that we've all come to know and love. And it's a funny story. Deadpool's been the strongest part of the Fox Marvel universe, and it's time to put that universe to rest so that eventually in 5 years we can recast Deadpool and all the X-Men.
False.
1 minute.
Wolverine has been the strongest character, regardless of the shitty movies he's been in.
Character. I mean movies.
Okay, well, you didn't say that. You said movie.
Strongest, most consistent character has been Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool.
I will accept that. I rescind my egregious statement. No, but still, I would much rather see the death of Uatu and Nick Fury taking over that mantle and see the entire story unfold. Not that we get a whole lot of that, because it really is. It's a murder mystery. You kind of have to go from point A to point B. Then you get the secret turn where everybody finds out everybody's dirty little secret. You find out that Thor is unworthy to wield his hammer because everybody now knows his dirty little secret. It's got drama, it's got intrigue, and it's exactly what the company would do, because it's not even necessarily the safe bet. It's just the best bet to get asses in the seats. What do you want to see? You want to see Nick
And
Fury being
time.
a badass.
All right, Matt, you got 60 seconds when you start speaking, man. Tell us why Secret Wars is and should be the next big thing, and why the other two suck.
So I feel like Secret Wars should be the next big thing, because I feel like now that the Infinity Saga has come to an end, they need to find something else to kind of keep the universe going, keep people interested. Like you were saying, I feel like with Secret Wars, you have a perfect way to set up Doctor Doom and build him up to have, he has this big goal of doing stuff like that, become the God Emperor Doom, as you said. Whereas I feel like with Deadpool Kills the Universe, it's just so meta and so like out there. I feel like general audiences would be so like like what is happening. They'll be very like thrown off. And then with Original Sin, I feel like a murder mystery, I don't know if that is enough to get like many people to come see it. I feel like people hardcore fans of it, sure, but I don't know if I feel like something like the concept of two universes colliding, I feel like that'll get people like in seats to see. And time.
All right, Matt, I like it. Nick, tell us why Deadpool should kill the Fox Marvel universe, and tell us why Original Sin sucks and so does Secret War.
I don't think either of them stuck, but Uatu has not been set up as an important enough character in the MCU for us to care if he gets killed, and for us to care if we can figure it out. If we make all the characters robots, we're not going to empathize with any of them if they die. Thor being unworthy for his hammer, it's called the first Thor. I've seen it before. I don't need to see it again. Matt, in terms of Secret Wars, again, I think it's a decent idea, but we're not there yet. You have a lot to set up. It's too many characters. I don't really even understand the story the way you've pitched it. I can't see it happening other than like a 2.5-hour battle sequence, and I don't want to see that. I need character development. Deadpool kills the Fox Marvel universe is meta. That's what they said about the first Deadpool. It's too meta for audiences. It broke just under Jesus Deadpool in terms of box office. It would be perfect. It would be a perfect way to end the universe. It'd be a perfect way to cap off a good trilogy and not let a character go on to the point of where we get tired of him and becomes unimportant as a character. It's meta enough, and I'm telling you, the end where he comes out and he kills whoever directs the third movie is going to be amazing. The most amazing thing since Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Everyone just comes in.
Jay, tell us why Original Sin should be adapted for the big screen and why the other two should not. Let me read them myself because maybe they don't suck. I've read them. I know they don't suck. Trust me. I know these things, guys. I'm here to judge this because I know these things. But anyway, tell us why Original Sin should be adapted and the others two shouldn't.
I'll start off by simply saying this wasn't name what comic book movie you would like to see made. It's what story arc you would like to see made. So, Nick, by saying that you want to have Deadpool kill the Fox Marvel universe, it completely nullifies it because your comic is called Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe. It doesn't matter which one. We're not talking about movie franchises here. We're talking about comic book runs. Secret Wars 2015, never gonna happen. Nick said it best. There's way too much setup and the groundwork hasn't been laid. But you know, the groundwork that's been laid is we've seen Uatu. Yeah, we might not know how important of a character he is, but he's still an important character. We know that his death would bring a lasting impression in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and you have to find somebody to be able to replace him. I don't know what it is that you're talking about. Okay, so we're sitting here and we're saying that Deadpool kills the Marvel. I'm not even going to talk about that one anymore. I'm sorry. I had to change my clothes to get in order to get into the mind state of this.
Time.
All right, let's go to Ruben first. Ruben, tell me, make some sense of this for me, man. How you feeling?
Okay, yeah, so this definitely kicks ass. Like, I honestly loved your arguments, guys. So I'm actually someone who doesn't really read a lot of comics. I love Marvel, like, in terms of movies and stuff. So as far as these story arcs, I don't know anything about any of these three. So the first thing I was looking for who could actually explain to me and sell to me what seems the most exciting. I felt like Matt, where you struggled at, I still don't know what Secret Wars is, except for it's two universes colliding. So I don't know too much about that. I needed a little bit more from you to kind of understand what that was about. So I didn't feel like you sold that to me. And Nick, Jay, you both sold it to me really, really hard. And I felt like one of the biggest things I'm kind of debating on real quick is that, Jay, I felt you focus a lot of time trying to say that logistically it doesn't make sense for the Deadpool thing to be in the Marvel thing. And I felt like that actually is what didn't sell me, because I felt like the question was like, what would we like to see the most instead of actually what would actually happen. And basing on that, I'm going to go ahead and give it to Nick. Nick, you sold me on the story. You sold me on the point. It seems exciting. Seems like something I want to see now. So I'm going to have to go ahead and give it to you, Nick.
All right. Heading over to Kirk. Make some sense for this, man. Tell me what you feel.
I liked all their storylines. I'd watch all three of these movies. Original Sin. I'm an old school What If fan. I love The Watcher. I'd love to see that character get a starring role. Secret Wars, I really want to see Doctor Doom in the MCU, so that'd be a great way to bring him in. And Deadpool Kills Marvel Universe, just a dark horse pick. It'd be a crazy movie. So yeah, I'd watch any one of those. The argument did kind of get derailed into like you were saying, the logistics, and the question is what should be adapted, not what could be or what will be, but what should be. So it's all theoretical. So I'm throwing that chunk of the argument out, and that's a big chunk of the argument. So I didn't get a whole lot more. I mean, there was a lot of focus on that, and yeah, I think at the end of the day, the one person who really struck me was Matt said this Secret Wars could be the next saga. It brings in the next big villain. So, you know, where we're at after Endgame, I think Matt took us in the best direction from there. So I'm giving my point to Matt.
All right, great. I love coming into these things because guess what? Yeah, I see what my judges are saying, and I see the points also being said. But what for me won it was Jay's closing argument, where he stated that, you know, this character, you guys all argued about not knowing who this character was, but he was initially set up, and it kind of, that murder mystery is something that hasn't been done by Marvel before, so it's kind of something new and unique to Marvel. So Jay, when he hit you, yes, on the logistics, it was a little bit much, but at the same time, he still counteracted both. Nick, you and Jay both basically destroyed for me what Matt's argument could have been. So again, Jay's got the point for me, and unfortunately, it is a 3-way tie. So Alec, you got to come in here and decide it, man.
Yeah. Oh man, I gotta pick a winner. All right. I like I said, like they said, like before, all 3 storylines are really great. I wouldn't mind seeing any of them. But I'm gonna have to agree with Doug on this one, and that Jay kind of explained why this storyline makes the most sense for Marvel and what going forward. And everyone else just kind of had a harder time attacking his, whereas Jay was able to take the others down a lot better.
All right, so Jay's got point for
Thank
round
you.
2. Let's go to round 3 because right now we have round 1, Nick got the point. Round 2, Jay got the point. Matt, you got to get on the board. Let's see it happen, man. Question 3, Stan Lee's best cameo is, and we're gonna go ahead and start with Matt first. Matt, 90 seconds on the board when you start talking.
All right, so Stan Lee, a great guy. Rest in peace. He's had a cameo in every Marvel film, probably except Howard the Duck, maybe. But I will say the best cameo is the cameo he had in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, where he is the Watcher informant. And the reason why I think that this is the best Stan Lee cameo is because it provides meaning for him being in all of these movies other than just, oh, look, Stan Lee's in this movie. In at least the MCU. It just sets up that he's working for the Watchers who watch over the entire universe, and he has a purpose. He's watching over everything that's going on and reporting back to them. So I think, if anything, it enriches all of the cameos due to this one. It just provides meaning to it in time.
All right, Matt. Good pick. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, where he is the informant for Uatu. That's not actually the Uatu, but it's the Watchers. Anyway, so let's go with Nick. Nick, 90 seconds on the board when you start talking, man. What is your version of Stan Lee's best cameo?
Well, first of all, I'd like to say I'm wearing the shirt, but I'm going to tear that down in a second. I think Stan Lee's best cameo by far is in a movie that's not necessarily the best movie. It's a movie I like quite a bit, but it's definitely not the best MCU movie or Marvel movie, and it's definitely his cameo in Age of Ultron. And I'm telling you the reason this is because if you were Stan Lee and you created all these characters that are so beloved that you never thought would come to life, sitting and drinking at a party with them is the closest thing you can get to that. And I got to say, just seeing that through his eyes had to be the coolest thing. And we get the catchphrase. We get the Excalibur catchphrase. The coolest part of Age of Ultron, or Excelsior. Did I say Excalibur? Thank you for making a face, Jay. I appreciate that. Excelsior. But the coolest parts of Age of Ultron aren't the battle sequence, aren't the action sequences. It's when they're all sitting down, being real people, interacting with each other. And what a dream come true for Stan Lee to sit and party and drink with the characters he created, and he gets to see them interact. And it really creates a moment of what I think is magic, especially now that he's gone. I think that would I don't know if anyone's asked him, but I think that would be his favorite cameo. I think that'd be a dream to come true, to see the characters that you created that have become so popular interact and just sit and have a beer with them. Or barrel-aged wine that, passes you out, makes you say Excelsior. Omaha Beach, Blondie, go.
All right. I think Nick automatically loses the round for not saying Excelsior.
Freudian.
All right. So, Jay, you're up. What is your best Stan Lee cameo and why? And 90 seconds on the board, buddy.
What is it that truly makes a cameo? A cameo is a special appearance by somebody who happens to be maybe a meta commentator on what's going on. I don't really feel like Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 does that too well. I don't think that Nick's point of him watching all of these characters that he's helped make over his career come to life before his eyes makes that point. I think the one movie that makes that point the best is the thing that he gambled everything on. It is Spider-Man, and it's not necessarily the Spider-Man movie that you might think of. It's Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse when he sells the fake costume to Miles Morales. It is the most poignant, the most heartbreaking thing of all time. It shows exactly what it is that he wanted with what he built. He built Marvel on the back of Spider-Man, because Amazing Spider-Man 15 was tanking. That's why Joni convinced them to put that in the movie. So for him to come full circle and be able to do it in an animated fashion is what makes this the best cameo, because it's how he started, with cartoons. To end with cartoons brings it full circle, and it's just so heart-wrenching when he says, does it fit? It will in time. It grows exponentially on me every time I see it. It is the most heartbreaking thing because it is his last cameo. Granted, he was in Endgame, but this was the last thing he did. He had already filmed his cameo for Endgame. That's what makes this the best Stan Lee cameo.
Time.
All right, guys. Woo. All right. So Matt's got Guardian of the Galaxy Volume 2. Nick's got Age of Ultron, and Jay's got Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. You guys got 5 minutes on the board. Does anybody want to take their minute? I'll take that as a yes.
I will add my minute to this.
Okay, so we're getting 6 minutes total for this round. All right, guys, 6 minutes. Do your best to argue why this is best Stan Lee cameo, and as soon as the first person speaks, the timer starts.
Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is literally everything that Stan Lee's early comic book career meant. It was Stan's soapbox. It was letters from the editor all wrapped up into one cute, quaint little package that lasted 45 seconds, that didn't have a gigantic impact on the overall story, but was the most heartfelt scene in the story up to that point and almost until the third act. This is what you want in yours. I don't really care about Stan Lee being an informant for the Watchers. The Watchers don't necessarily need informants. We've already gone over this. Watchers can see everything that happens all the time. That's literally what they're there for. That's why they're called Watchers. That was just a way to shoehorn Stan Lee in. They could have done it, and he could have been the same horny old man that he was in the first Guardians of the Galaxy. And I'm sorry, I forgot what the fuck Nick said. I was too engrossed by his beard. What was your movie?
Age of Ultron.
Age of Ultron. Okay, so look, I love I was at Omaha Beach, Sonny. Yeah, he was at Omaha Beach as a writer. So it's a little meta. It doesn't work for me because they're making Stan Lee out to be more than he was. But with his cameo in Into the Spider-Verse, that's not what they're doing. They are giving you straightforward 100% Stan Lee, and that's why it's the best cameo.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the character he built his legacy on was Peter Parker, not Miles Morales. Love Miles Morales, but I don't think your point of sort of building off the character that he created sort of fits there, because he's not talking to Peter Parker.
No, it does. It does. because he's still a Spider-Man. That's
Okay.
just it. Just because you have a different version of it, that's like saying that, oh, that's not really Iron Man because that's not the Mark 1 suit. That's the Mark 2 suit. That's the Mark 3 suit.
No, that's
exactly what you're trying to say, and it doesn't work. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I'm just gonna throw it out there. I'm gonna throw one more thing out there. Some people it might stick with them. Some people might not. The last thing I want to see is them do CGI cameos from now on. That's the last thing I want to see. And I think him as a cartoon comes kind of close to that. It doesn't hit you the same because it's not exactly him. Again, people might disagree. Everyone on this panel might disagree. For me, the best cameo isn't him as a cartoon. It's him in real life, especially in Age of Ultron when he's experiencing life, when he's in celebration with the characters that he created. In terms of the Watchers, I read comics. I know how important the Watchers are. That you get none of that from the movie. If a person who doesn't read comics watches Guardians 2, they have no idea who those people are, and they don't know how important it is that he's talking to them. And just the end of the movie kind of ruins the cameo for me when they're just leaving. He's like, "You guys were supposed to be my ride home." And I was like, "That's kind of funny," but it takes away the importance of what Matt's pitching, in my opinion.
I don't know if it takes away the importance of it, but I feel like for people that don't know who the Watchers are, when they see that cameo and they're like, who are those guys with the big heads? They'll go home, look it up, and kind of read about it, or maybe they'll hear it from their friend who's sitting next to them freaking out about it. Like, what does that mean? But whereas with the Into the Spider-Verse, like, I'm not going to say it's like a bad cameo or the animated thing is different than seeing it live action, but the fact that, like, what you did say, like, he had filmed those other cameos first, but those movies did come out after that Spider-Verse came out, so I don't know if, like, just to be like, because it was the last one that he did overall, it's like general audiences didn't know that. They just saw that movie and then they saw 2 more cameos, and then Captain Marvel had that whole that Marvel Studios logo with all Stan Lee, the whole montage of Stan Lee. And then with the Age of Ultron thing, it is, I mean, I just think it's kind of a one-off, like, silly thing where he's just kind of drinking and, you know, getting carried away by, you know, a couple of people.
I will say that, and nothing but respect to Stan the Man. He's literally one of my idols, but I think the timeliness of what happened is why we remember Spider-Verse right now. I think in the future we won't. And if you look back at all of these cameos, knowing that Stan Lee's no longer with us, the one you're going to connect to most is mine, because it's literally like Cap going back in time to be with Peggy. It's like, oh my gosh, he's gone. But, yeah, sorry, you should. It's Marvel fights. How have you not seen Endgame yet? But it's literally it's the sincerity of, oh my God, at least he got to experience that moment with the characters he created, and he gets to share in such a great. Oh, dude, I want to drink with the Avengers, and Stanley got to do it.
Okay, so what you're saying is you're nostalgic for something that you're never going to get, drinking with the Avengers, and you're just kind of jealous that Stanley did it. You guys want to knock animation and act like Stanley didn't help perfect the art form that created animation when it came to comics. He is the fucking bottom. He is the building block of all that. Without that, you wouldn't have Spider-Verse. You wouldn't have the Fantastic Four. You might still have a couple of these, and you might still have a Gray Hulk. But you know what you get with Stanley's cameo? You get a full fucking circle. It started with Spider-Man. It ends with a Spider-Man. And it's what makes his emotion in it, regardless of whether he was sick, regardless of whether or not it was the last one he filmed or whether it was the last one seen on screen, he still brings it. And regardless of how you felt about that I guarantee you is one of the best scenes in any movie that has absolutely nothing to do with a majority of the story moving forward. And that's what a good cameo does. A good cameo gives you a lasting impression, and that's what you get when it comes to Stanley selling Miles the fake costume.
I stand by my animated statements, even if everyone disagrees. I think Venom sort of did the same thing, and I don't think it's the same as Iron Man switching armors. I think it's the same as someone else taking on the Iron Man with a different character.
We're gonna start with Nick. Nick, you got 60 seconds, man. Tell us why Age of Ultron is the best Stan Lee cameo, because none of them suck. I don't care what anybody says. I loved every single one of them. So tell us why Age of Ultron is the best.
Okay, so first of all, Matt's sort of arguing that the Uatu scene is more important because it elevates all the other cameos, but it's sort of played off as a joke. And you really don't know who those people are unless you read comics, and not many people who watch the movies read the comics, unfortunately. Jay's, again, I don't think I don't think it's not the same character, and I think it's just the timeliness that it just happened to be when Stan passed away. That's what came out. I think if we look in the future, which I think we have to, if we're talking about best cameo of all time, it won't hold up the same, or it'll hold up the same as other cameos, including mine, which will be Stan Lee getting to live out his greatest dream, not mine, his greatest dream, mine also, but his and everyone's, his greatest dream of having a drink with the characters he created and palling around in one of the best scenes in Age of Ultron. And honestly, one of the best scenes in the MCU, in my personal opinion. I know that probably won't land with everyone, but that's why I think that Stan Lee cameo is the best, is because it'll hold up in time.
So, Jay, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, why is this the best Stan Lee cameo, and it's better than the other two?
I mean, Nick did a great job demolishing why Stan Lee being an informant for the Watchers was kind of an irrelevant cameo. I think I did as well, because if they're the Watchers, then they can see everything. They don't really need informants. That right there, to me, disqualifies that Stan Lee cameo. It brings nothing to the story. Stan Lee drinking with the Avengers is a cool scene, but it doesn't bring anything. It's not emotional to the audience. It's emotional to one man. The best thing about a cameo is the fact that it's a little bit of a meta situation, and it brings out emotions in the audience. And regardless of whether you say it's just an emotional gut punch or knee-jerk reaction because Stan Lee died and this is the last thing that you see him in, I completely disagree with you about the fact that it's not a different animation. It's not like they went Rogue One and CGI'd in Leia and CGI'd in Grand Moff Tarkin. What they did was they brought an individual to life, and he still brought his gusto and his personality to this little scene.
All right, Matt, tell us why Guardians of the Galaxy. You got a little uphill battle here, man. Tell us why Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 is better than Age of Ultron and Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
So, I don't know if it's necessarily relevant that the Watchers have an informant. It's like, maybe like, if the Watchers end up having a bigger role in the future of the MCU, they can draw reference to Stan Lee or his character, the informant. He didn't have a specific name. So I feel like it was very important, because it also, in addition to enriching it, it's like, it makes it more than just a cameo. There's a purpose for him being there at all. And then in the case of the Age of Ultron one, him drinking with the Avengers, he's not even drinking with all of the Avengers. It's just Thor and Captain America and some World War II veterans. And then with Into the Spider-Verse, well, not a bad cameo in any way. And of course, what he says is great. It's honestly, I completely forgotten what the cameo was until I rewatched the movie recently. And then the thing with like how it's meaningful and it's the last one, it wasn't the last one that I had watched. So I don't know if I draw as much meaning of it. But with Guardians 2, I feel it's like, instead of it just being silly that he's in all 22 films, it's like, well, now there's a reason there. And regardless of whether or not everybody knows who the Watchers are, they can look it up and find out, oh, so it's
That's
like
time.
He's been watching over all of his heroes.
All right, Matt, that's
Time's up.
done. All right.
Yeah.
All right, so this is a very tough battle. I'm going to go to Kirk first. Kirk, tell me how you see this. What way are you leaning?
Oh, man.
I know this is a tough one. Stan the Man was great. So
yeah, they may have picked my 3 personal favorites if I had to rank them all. So I mean, they did a great job making these choices. They all had some pretty good arguments. Came down to a 2-horse race for me. Matt, I felt like there's probably more of an argument there you could have made. Don't be afraid to talk over these 2 loudmouths. Get yourself out there, because I think if you had just given me a little bit more, you might have swung me in your direction as to how this impacted the story and why this was such an important cameo. But it did come down to Spider-Verse and Age of Ultron. Trying to stay as even as possible here, because one of them is my personal favorite. But man, it's tough. Oh, man. I think where I'm going to lean is Jay saying that how this brought it full circle. And, it may have been a coincidence that he died, just, what was it, days or weeks before this movie came out. So that may have been a coincidence, but it doesn't change the fact that it did have a very heavy impact on the cameo. And, when he says, when you just hear Stan's voice say, "I'm really going to miss him," I mean, I started crying right in the theater. So, I mean, that was a very emotional moment. So, I think Jay's points about how this reflected Stan Lee's journey through the Marvel Universe, I'm giving my point to Jay.
All All right, so I'm up next. Kirk gave the point to Jay, and this personal, Stan Lee cameos aside, heartfelt cameos aside, all three of these are great picks. Nick, I loved your pick. Your pick when he's drinking with Cap and Thor and Falcon is one of the greatest because he's able to give a line that he's given his entire career, even though you said it wrong. It's okay. It's okay. Excelsior. And you see him getting carried away, and it's great, and it just hits the chest, and it's like, yeah. Matt, I wanted you to fight a little bit more for this. I really did. I wanted to give you the point for this. The Watchers, that connects every bit of the universe for me. Not just the Marvel universe. It connects every universe. But what Jay said about this bringing it full circle from him doing the editorials, answering children's letters, and I understand where you were going with it, Nick. It's Peter Parker that he stand behind, but in reality, it was Spider-Man and Peter Parker, and he was speaking about Peter in that scene. Granted, Miles was there and he understood it. That's what hit home on this. And taking, like I said, I wanted to take this as very non-biased as possible, but taking how it is, Jay was able to, pick yours guys apart a little bit more than you were able to pick his apart. I felt like I had to fully explain that a little bit more. It felt like an uphill battle for myself to explain that. So Jay is going to get the point for that round. Question 4, what Marvel TV characters should make an appearance in the MCU? And since we last went to Matt, we're going back to Nick. Nick, start us off with your 90 seconds. What TV character you got?
None, but since I got to pick one, I'm going to go with Ben Urich, the reporter from Daredevil Season 1 who gets killed by the Kingpin. Now, again, I don't think any of the Marvel TV characters should be in the MCU. It only confuses us further as to why, when you're creating the Avengers Initiative, why don't you call out the guy with bulletproof skin or the blind ninja? Like, why are these people not being called? If we put any of these major characters in the movies and say that they're connected, though, I'm okay with very, very small, limited connections, but I really don't want to believe that they're in the same universe. The Jarvis thing in Endgame was kind of cool, but anything more than that would have been too much. So I'm picking Ben Urich because he's a well-known comic character. I'm putting him in the Black Widow solo prequel movie, hopefully, which will hopefully be like a murder mystery kind of thing, like we were talking about before, spy, espionage kind of thing. And hopefully we are able to see some of the movie through, not through Ben Urich's eyes, but through like a reporting kind of thing, because I want it all to be a secretive sort of movie, and I think the best way to do it is to follow reports on television, things like that. Putting any of the main characters in the movies as they are now would only be insanely confusing, and it would hurt no matter how good the character is.
All right, so Ben Urich and Black Widow. All right, moving on, Jay. What TV character you got going in the MCU?
All right, man. I chose Bulletproof Love himself. I chose Hot Damn Sweet Christmas. Let's get some coffee. I chose Luke Cage as my choice to enter into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Now, you don't necessarily want a relatively unknown. Bulletproof skin might help you if you're fighting something when it comes to, like, I don't know, aliens that can destroy all of Manhattan, one of the boroughs. Wouldn't you want somebody who's there to help protect who lives there? You want a Luke Cage type individual. You want somebody who can play that, like Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead, going ground level behind the scenes, helping and protecting people, making funny jokes all throughout while still being the hero that you want and you need in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And if there's anybody out of all three of the people that have been chosen, it's definitely Luke Cage.
All right, we got Mr. Thick Skin himself, Luke Cage. All right, Matt, you're up last. Show us what you got. Who's coming to the MCU from the MTV universe? I don't know, something like that.
So from the TV universe, I got the Blind Ninja himself, Daredevil. So I feel like Daredevil would work good in the universe because one thing we don't have is we don't have this dark, gritty hero who's like breaking legs and everything. And I feel like with Daredevil, you'll get that. I feel like we get this gritty crime thriller, like almost probably rated R. This aspect of the MCU we don't have. I mean, we'll see what the Black Widow movie ends up getting rated. But like we just need that, and then maybe he could team up with Spider-Man, and they take out New York, Hell's Kitchen. I feel like to bring in Daredevil, the character that started the Netflix like Marvel universe, whatever it's called. I feel like to bring him in, I feel like would have been a major missed opportunity to not have him come into these movies.
All right, so we have Ben Urich in Black Widow Solo, Luke Cage, the thick-skinned man, and the blind guy Daredevil. All right. Battle it out, guys. 5 minutes on the board, unless you guys want to take that minute exception. No? No minute? No minute? No minute? You want to do it, Matt?
I'll take a minute.
All right, so we're at 6 minutes. All right, 6 minutes.
I got it. Yeah,
on
1
the
minute.
board. 6 minutes on the board when you guys start talking.
Two real quick things. One, thank God nobody picked the fucking Immortal Iron Fist Danny Rand. I would have laughed you off of this hangout session. Number two, you both have pitched a Batman movie from different angles. One as the gritty reporter who follows him, and one as Batman. We don't need that. This is the Marvel Cinematic Universe. We don't need that dirty, gritty fucking, I'm a ninja on the streets, but I'm still kind of a lawyer throughout the day. Plus, we don't need a procedural. What you get with Luke Cage is you get an action hero who can actually do something. With your movie, we get a blind asshole who is blind but can see. And with Nick's movie, what do we get? We get the Post. Okay, cool.
That's fantastic. No, it's so. Here's my thing. This might be an unpopular opinion. I'm gonna try and convince you all. I don't like the Marvel TV. I don't think it's good, and the movies certainly don't either because they haven't acknowledged them at all. Jarvis popping up in Endgame is the only thing that's happened. We've had 3 seasons of Daredevil backstory. We've had 2 seasons of Luke Cage backstory. I don't want to have to sit and watch all this TV to understand who this is in the movie if they're playing a large part. I think a cool little nod, like a Ben Urich cameo, would be like, oh, I watched the TV. I did my homework. That's a cool little nod. That's a cool little cameo. Beyond that, mixing Marvel TV the way it was and the movies the way they are now it's not a good idea. And I know that's sort of subverting the question, but I'm telling you, putting Daredevil and Luke Cage 5, 6 seasons, if you count the Defenders, where less than half of that is even good content, is not. It's too much it's too much work for the audience to do. It's going to taint the movies. Putting in characters that have been here the whole time, especially when they've had. It's the same reason people are like, oh, Captain Marvel. Why hasn't she been here the whole time? They had a good reason, but they have no reason for Luke Cage and Daredevil. They've been here the whole time. Why hasn't Tony Stark reached out to them? Why didn't Captain America reach out to them when they were forming the Avengers? Iron Man had
because they're not involved in the formation of the team. Like
they knew about it. They called
it doesn't matter. They're not involved in the formation of the team. You asked a question. I gave you the answer to your question. But if you're gonna sit here and say that doesn't work, then you sit here and
maybe they're from the multiverse.
I mean,
alternate Earth.
Decent enough answer. But I mean, if you're gonna say that doesn't work, then you're gonna say that the fucking 2/3 of Endgame doesn't work.
How? Wait,
what do you mean? What do you mean? How? Yeah, I literally said the Rosencrantz and Guildenstern thing, and you're like, oh well, I don't think people need to see a movie from another person's perspective. But that's kind of what they did in Endgame. The Avengers went back to the attack on New York. In Endgame, you know, they had to have Hulk and shit, but you're gonna say that doesn't work for them, or it works for them, but it doesn't work for Luke Cage when Luke Cage could be saving people. Like
TV, it's movies where we followed. If Daredevil wanted to do a time travel episode, and go back to the first season of Daredevil, it would work because people who assuming are watching the final season. No, but the people who are assuming that are watching the final season of Daredevil have seen the first couple of seasons. I don't want to introduce a character and then have the audience go, well, shit, I got to watch 6 seasons of TV now? It's not fun.
I'd still rather watch a movie about a character that somebody knows instead of a quick cameo.
Oh,
I'm just saying.
Matt, go ahead.
Yeah, because not many people probably even know who Ben Urich is, and then I feel like with Luke Cage, I feel like the bulletproof man, I feel like we kind of got that with Black Panther. Granted, he's wearing a suit, but he's completely bulletproof when he's in that thing.
Black Panther's in Wakanda. Luke Cage is in America. Luke Cage is helping. But Black Panther's really not.
But Wakanda has now opened themselves up.
Yeah, but I'm talking about
refugee centers and stuff like that.
But I'm talking about putting Luke Cage back in with the Avengers, like 2012. We didn't get that for 6 years. So what we have is what would be an original, especially if you went back and did it behind the scenes. You'd have this cat helping out, whereas you don't have. I'm sorry, I said cat. That no pun intended. Black Panther. But regardless, you have this, and you would be able to introduce that before you introduced this person. And regardless if we have one bulletproof person, they're superheroes. 90% of them are bulletproof. You know who's not bulletproof? A reporter.
Yeah, because he dies later on. We know that.
No shit. He fucking dies. But you're trying to establish him as but you can't establish somebody as a main character.
Not a main character.
Of course he's not a main character. You stated that. Because you don't want a main character, you want a cameo. That's I think that's an illegitimate pick. I don't think that's a good pick.
We failed with Marvel TV. It's not good. That's why all the seasons got canceled. There were some good. Some of Daredevil was good. First half of season 1 of Luke Cage was good. Marvel TV as it was did not succeed. That's why they canceled all the seasons, and that's why they're revamping it with Disney Plus stuff that's going to spin off from the movies, which is I think how it should be.
I'm sorry. Let me give me like 30 seconds. Let me play you something right quick. Which one of y'all fucking superheroes has a rap track by Method Man?
Ben Urich does.
No, he doesn't.
I know, but who cares?
Nice try, though.
Who cares? A season and a half of your character was awful.
A season and a half. We're not talking about how he does in the seasons. If we're talking about that, your character's Ned Stark, bro. He is so unimportant. He doesn't do a fucking thing, and he fucks off and dies in less than a season.
That's what I want. I don't like.
That's not what you know.
That's time, guys. 5 minutes, 6 minutes.
All right. So since we started with Nick, we're gonna move on to Jay. Jay, you got 60 seconds on the board. Explain to me why Mr. Luke Cage, Mr. Thick Skin himself, should be in the MCU.
Luke Cage makes an appearance. That means that you can bring the Defenders in. That means that you can bring the new Avengers in. That means that you can bring more individuals from the Avengers, and it gives you a larger opportunity to create more opportunities for more movies. With Ben Urich, you don't get that. How old is Ben Urich supposed to be? 150? Because if you remember correctly, Black Widow, even in her solo movie, if we're going before and we're doing a Black Widow solo movie, she is kind of like the Winter Soldier, so let's not even fucking go there. And Daredevil's just a ripoff of Batman, bro. We don't need that. What you want is you want an original concept. Even if you have to take from something else, it's still an original concept because you don't have a Luke Cage in there. Plus, Method Man's Bulletproof Love is my ringtone. I love that shit. Fuck you. Luke Cage is the best of all of them outside of the Punisher when it comes to Marvel TV.
All right, Matt. Tell me why Daredevil. You got to fight for this one, man. This is your last 60 seconds if you don't get this. So tell us why Daredevil is better than Ben Urich, why he's better than Luke Cage, and why he should be in the MCU.
So not only am I going to say all those things, I'm also going to say why he's better than Batman, because Daredevil's not Batman. He is not a billionaire playboy. We don't have to see boring stuff of that. He's got working man. He's a lawyer defending the weak, and then at night he's breaking legs and breaking skulls. That's the movie we want to see. I feel like with Luke Cage, I feel like while he is bulletproof and a little strong, if an alien invasion happens, I don't really know how useful he's going to be. He can't fly. He doesn't throw a shield, all that stuff. Whereas Ben Urich, I feel like he might as well not be in it at all because I feel like half the people aren't even going to know who he is, and it's just a cameo in some prequel film that we don't even know what it's going to be about. Whereas I feel like with Daredevil, people know who he is. He's an interesting concept. Blind guy can see. The World on Fire was something barely touched upon in the show. I feel like we could really expand on that and then team him up with all the other New York heroes like Spider-Man.
All right, Matt. Pretty good. I liked it. Nick, Tell me why Ben Urich is the choice. If I was an MCU exec, tell me why we should put Ben Urich in this movie, and tell the rest of my judges too. 60 seconds on the board.
Well, first of all, the MCU execs agree with me because they just did the same thing with Jarvis. So they're going to do the same thing with Ben Urich in Black Widow. At least we learned one thing different, that he was there. Something different about his backstory that I didn't know, where we have 6 seasons, 6.5 if you count Jessica Jones, 6.5 seasons of television of your other two who already have backstories. I don't need to learn more about them. You're pitching solo movies with people who already have hours and hours and hours and hours of backstory. I don't need to know that. It's confusing to the audience. I need to know I don't need to know anything about Marvel TV. It's failed. That's why they're canceling the series. I couldn't pick no one, so I'll pick a cool cameo like they did in Endgame with Jarvis. Not everyone will know, you're right, but that's not the point. I don't want TV. I don't want the previous Marvel TV that has failed, that they've said has failed, that they've canceled, distracting us from what's in the movies now. I want TV to go into the future, start fresh, keep going on. Don't bring in the old. I love Daredevil. I love Luke Cage from the comics, but we're pitching Marvel TV characters who already have backstory, half of which is not good backstory. I don't care about their story. People fall off the ends of the season. They don't even continue watching them because they get so bored with them. So you're already pitching tired, played out characters that we see or have already seen.
Time. Alec, you're up first. Tell us which combatant here won you over with their character.
Oh my god, this one was heated, man. I was going a little back and forth on both, on all three, arguments. I think Nick spent a lot of time kind of telling us that he didn't like the question more than he was arguing why Ben Urich should be the character to be introduced. And I think I got to go with Jay on this one. I think Matt just didn't say enough to get me over the hill. His closing argument got me close, but I'm gonna have to go with Jay because it kind of fits with what everything Jay said, so I'm going with Jay.
All right, Ruben, where are you at, man? How you feeling on this battle? Where are you going? Where's your mindset?
Okay. Yeah, this one was pretty heated. I actually bounced all over the place too. I came into it. I wanted Daredevil to be it because I love Daredevil. Daredevil's probably one of my favorite Marvel characters outside of the MCU. So I wanted to see a lot more from Daredevil. Unfortunately, once again, Matt, and I think it's just because this is your first match, right? Okay. So I think you're just kind of like getting your footing in, and I'm new to this too. But I think you just have to be a little bit more vocal. You have to stand up to these two Goliaths here that are yelling and screaming at the top of their lungs. You just got to go ahead and just be like, all right, you guys need to shut up, listen to my point of view. And I think that's where you're struggling at. And I wanted you. You had a good closing argument, but like overall, I don't think you pulled enough to get the point. I bounced back and forth between Jay, Nick, because. The first judge pointed out, Nick, I felt like you did focus a lot on how much you hated the question, and I felt like Jay actually capitalized more on why Luke Cage fits. But then I get your point, Nick. I honestly just have to go with my gut, and my gut is like, who's gonna? I'm gonna have to give it to Jay. It's back and forth, but ultimately I'm just gonna have to give it to Jay just because I feel like Jay kind of like focused more on the question. And even though you didn't like the question, Nick, I do feel like this is the question. You still have to kind of, it's movie battlegrounds. You still have to figure something out.
The question by hating the question.
Yeah.
Right.
I feel you, but yeah.
So Jay's got the point. With that being said, Jay is at a total of 3 points. And Nick is at 1 point, and Matt, you are unfortunately at 0 points, which means you are knocked out from the speed round. Matt, if you want to stick around and watch the rest of the match, you're more than welcome to. Just go ahead and put yourself on mute for me.
Sure.
All right,
Matt,
perfect.
I appreciate you showing up, buddy.
Matt, also, you did a heck of a job. Just stay around so that way we can go to closing. Once we close out the episode, we can let you say your piece and everything like that as well. So we're in speed round, guys. It is down to the nitty gritty. Speed round, first to 4 points. Nick's feeling loosey goosey. Let's see if Jay's feeling loosey goosey. Okay, so how this works is the first 2 speed round questions are done the same way that speed round questions are done in the normal round. You get 30 seconds, then 15-second rebuttal. what we're switching up here in Movie Battlegrounds a little bit is that we're going to repeat the question twice, and the first person to say their name is going to go ahead and get their choice of the answer. Does everybody understand the rules?
Are these like either or questions or?
There is one either or question.
Yeah.
But
I think that's the only one that should be say your name.
Right.
I agree.
Okay, that's the only one to say your name. Okay.
No, I think that's the only one where you don't say your name.
No, that's the one where you should have to say your name. I'm just saying.
Well, how soon after we say our name do we have to pick our choice?
So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do say your name for each one, so that way we can do that. After you say your name, after I pick the order of how it is and how you're gonna go, you'll have 5 seconds to give me your choice. I'll do the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Give me your choice before then, and I'll write it down, and we'll go ahead with everything.
Right.
It makes it a little longer, but at the same time, it makes it even and more fair for everybody. So wait until I repeat the question for a second time before you say your name. Judges, keep your ears out so that way I know if they say it at the same time, I can hear it, you can hear it. We'll make sure we're all even, all right? Speed round question number 1. Who would have been a single better villain to replace the villains in Spider-Man 3? Again, who would have been a single better villain to replace the villains in Spider-Man 3?
Jay.
All right, Jay, you're
Nick.
first. Jay, you're first. It's all right. We'll get a hang of it. You're good, Nick. All right, Jay, 5, 4,
Taskmaster.
3. Jay with Taskmaster. Nick, 5, 4.
Kraven the Hunter.
Kraven. All right. You get 30 seconds starting when you speak.
Taskmaster is Kraven the Hunter, but stronger, faster, and smarter. He has a photogenic memory, which means that he remembers every move that's been used against him, which means that you can't use the same thing against him, which would have made him a bigger and a larger threat against Peter Parker, who's basically just had to do the same 2 or 3 moves. You would have had to have been able to see a larger move set between him and Taskmaster than you would against Kraven the Hunter. Kraven the Hunter is just a bitch. I'm sorry. You don't get fearsomeness. You don't get fear from this individual. You just get, okay, he's kind of crazy Lobo.
All right. Nick, you got 30 seconds on the board. When you start speaking, time's on yours.
You're right, Taskmaster does sound pretty badass. Pretty impossible to beat. Makes for a poor, boring movie. Doesn't sound like fun. I don't want to watch it. If he can copy and he's going to win everything. Kraven the Hunter's a more interesting villain. He's doing it for more interesting reasons. We can adopt Kraven's last hunt. He can die at the end. Spider-Man can actually beat him, but actually put up a fight. It'll be a much more compelling movie. It'll be one-on-one. It'll be a character study. We'll actually get to know who Kraven is, why he's doing the hunt, and why it ends. And it'll actually be a challenge for Spider-Man. He'll have to explore himself while he's being hunted. It'll be an emotional journey as well as a physical one, and a much better wrap-up to the trilogy than an unbeatable villain that just copies everything.
All right, Jay, 15-second rebuttal when you start.
First and foremost, Spider-Man doesn't even kill Kraven the Hunter. Kraven the Hunter kills himself. Taskmaster is one of those odds that you always see Spider-Man going up against, and it would be awesome to see him fight against somebody that he thinks is unbeatable, but still be able to overcome that at the end of the movie. Thank you very much.
Woo! Damn. All right, Nick. That 15 seconds went fast. I don't even think it was 15 seconds, but you got 15 seconds. Tell me why Kraven is better than Taskmaster and would be better fit in this movie. Let me know.
I only heard about Taskmaster's skills, nothing about his character, nothing about why he's doing anything. Great wrap-ups to trilogies are emotional journeys with the character that we've known for so long. That's why Logan's amazing. Kraven's Last Hunt is going to be that for Spider-Man, for Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. Yes, he's going to die, but we're going to come to know the character. We're going to know why he's doing it as opposed to Taskmaster. No reason.
Jesus, guys. All right. I didn't think this question was going to be that brutal.
Yeah, bro. Way to bring me in.
Bro, this was so good. Such a good Marvel battle speed round question. All right, we're going to Ruben first. Ruben, tell me who you got.
Yeah, so real quick, first thing I was looking for was what kind of emotional attachment this character is going to bring to kind of like make the movie better. And right off the back, like the closing statements what said it. Nick, I think you capitalized on pointing out that Kraven's like it's not just about his arsenal; it's about his character himself bringing to the story. So I'm gonna give it to you, buddy.
Thank you, sir.
All right, Kirk, who you got in this?
Yeah, since speed round, I'll go quick. Yeah, Jay gave me why Taskmaster's a tougher villain, and he definitely objectively is. But Nick gave me why Kraven is a more interesting villain and how he's going to connect to Spider-Man's character better. So I'm going with Nick on this as well, with Kraven.
We're doing speed round 2. Works the same way as speed round 1 works. So, again, I'm going to repeat the question twice. The first person to give me their name will get to pick their answer first. Okay? Again, 5 seconds. You get to pick. All right. Speed round 2. Which of these Netflix Marvel canceled shows should get another season? Punisher, Daredevil, or Luke Cage? Again, which of these Marvel shows, canceled shows, should get another season? Punisher, Daredevil, or Luke Cage?
Nick.
All right, that was way too close. Judges,
Give it to Jay. Jay, go first.
Okay, you're conceding to Jay.
Yeah,
All right.
Jay, go first.
Jay, who do you got?
Punisher.
5. Punisher. All right.
Daredevil.
Daredevil. All right, guys. This is getting tight. It's Punisher versus Daredevil, like season 2 of Daredevil. I cracked myself up. Jay, you spoke. Jay, you spoke first, so you're on the board. 30 seconds. Start talking.
Regardless of what anybody thinks, what really creates a stale character is doing the same thing over and over and over again, pretending to be a blind lawyer and then being a superhero at the end of the day. Punisher, well, might be doing the same thing, at least has a different villain, different set of morals, villain with different set of morals, and is still entertaining at the end of the day. I don't want to watch Law and Order with a blind dude. I'm just saying.
All right, conceding the rest of his time. Nick, tell me why Daredevil should get another season.
You want to talk about going stale? Punisher's been doing the same thing for 2 seasons, and he's a spinoff of a better series and a better character. The reason we like Daredevil better is because he's got morals, because of that fight inside of him. It's boring if someone goes out and just wants to kill everyone. Yeah, it's exciting. It looks visually cool, but it's not as exciting as a character who has to grapple morally. And yes, law scenes look cool. Court scenes look cool. Or they don't look cool. They are cool. They explore characters' motives. They explore characters' things. And Daredevil introduces more characters than Punisher will. Punisher himself was introduced in Daredevil, as was Elektra, as were other people. Daredevil has been the most consistent series throughout 2 seasons, and they're good.
All right, time. Jesus, guys, you're making this ridiculously hard on all of us. This is a hell of a bracket, too. All right, Jay, give us your 15-second rebuttal.
Punisher is a man that is lawful good. Unlawful good. He knows exactly what he needs to do. He does it regardless of whether or not somebody says he shouldn't. That right there is character to me. What's not character to me is a blind dude who lies to every single one of his friends and then continues to do said thing. You have a man who tells the utmost truth and still gets shit done.
All right. Nick, 15 seconds, man. On the board. Tell us, man.
Punisher's character is all about his past. We've explored his past. We know why he's doing what he's doing. We don't care anymore. He's been doing the same thing, and we've seen it. We don't need to see it anymore. Daredevil's about his past and about his future. He's involved in more things. He's more dynamic of a character. He makes choices unlike the Punisher, and he meets new, more interesting people. And his 3 seasons are the best seasons of all Netflix Marvel TV, including Punisher.
Debatable.
All right. Jesus, guys. Kirk, save me, man. Give me something. Tell me who you're feeling on this one.
Okay, first of all, Jay, it's chaotic good, not unlawful good. Thank you very much.
Unlawful good still works.
Let me go grab my handbook and we'll check it out. Okay.
Roll a d20 before you do that to make sure that you can successfully do it.
Roll against your dexterity to make sure you don't trip either.
Okay. Yeah, good fight. They both made really good points on this one. This one was a lot harder for me. But at the end of the day, I am going with Daredevil on this one just because I think it came down to argument of who has more new stuff to offer. And I think Nick gave reasons why, Daredevil makes more decisions. He brings in more characters. So I think there's still a little blood to get out of that stone with Daredevil than there's with Punisher. personally, I like the Punisher character better, but I think Nick gave the better argument for Daredevil.
All right, guys. I'm up next, and I really hate myself for putting myself in this predicament. All right, so when it came down to these things, Jay, I like the points that you hit about, Punisher kind of you hit against the Daredevil a lot, but the problem was Nick pushed back against those
he
arguments. Let me speak, damn it. It's always an interesting match with you guys. So unfortunately, Nick did hit you a little harder, whereas Daredevil is a great jumping point to bring other characters to the light, and which he brings this fascination with not only his past to his future as well. So unfortunately, Nick does get the point. Fortunately, unfortunately, I don't know what to say, but Nick gets the point this round, which means we are all tied up for the final speed round question.
Hell yeah.
And the final speed, is this like a rematch of last time?
Maybe.
I think this is. So, Marvel. I think a lot of the matches so far are gonna have to live up to this match in this bracket. So I'm really excited for this third round of the third speed round, because you guys have brought it the entire match, and it hasn't been nothing but you guys fighting back and forth, and it's been great to see. So this last question, again, remember, I'm reading it twice. Throw out your name when you got it figured out. You'll get 5 seconds to choose. The match works like this. It's 30 seconds, 20 seconds, 10 seconds. Okay? So, for the final speed round question, which Into the Spider-Verse character should get a spin-off movie? Again, which Into the Spider-Verse character should get a spin-off movie?
Jay
got it. Jay, 5,
Nick.
4, 3, 2,
Spider-Man Noir.
1. All right. And Nick, give me your answer. 5, 4, 3, 2,
Gwen
1.
Stacy.
Gwen Stacy. Gwen, Spider-Gwen versus Spider-Noir. This is going to be oh my God, I hate you both for picking two of my fucking favorite characters in the movie. Good thing, I hate you both because I'm the first one that's got to make a damn decision in this. So, let's make this interesting, shall we? Jay, you spoke up first again. So take your time. Get your thoughts prepared. You have 30 seconds on the table when you want to start.
Spider-Man Noir, while coming from a different universe, is still the main Spider-Man story that you may or may not know at this point in time. This isn't just a rehash. This is a Spider-Man with zombies attached to it, but you still have to have a little bit of brevity. This is an individual that you haven't really gotten a chance to see if you haven't read What If comics. Unlike Spider-Gwen, where if you see Spider-Gwen, you know exactly what you're going to get. You're going to get a female ripoff of Peter Parker. What you have with this is an original story that you can clearly see, and I would like to have that brought to the big screen.
Time.
Jesus, coming at Nick's neck already coming at Nick's neck. Gotta love it. Nick, 30 seconds on the board.
Number one, you better hope a lot of people aren't watching this. You just called Gwen Stacy a Peter Parker ripoff. People are going to be pissed at you, Jay. Second of all, there were 3 characters in that Spider-Man team-up, and there were 3 cartoons. Those cartoons, that's why I didn't pick Spider-Man. That's why I didn't pick Penny Parker. That's why I didn't pick Spider-Man Noir. It's because they had no character development. They were literally one-dimensional characters who I would not be interested in to see. Gwen Stacy proved that she can be a co-lead of a movie already, if not a lead. She's cool. She's a drummer. She has interesting things to her character, whereas Spider-Man Noir is sad.
Time.
All right. Again, I'm going to reiterate this. I hate you both. And Jay, you got 20 seconds.
That's the beauty of it. With a choice like Spider-Man Noir, you can build a character. I don't already need a well-established character, because what happens when you have a well-established character and you try to run with it, you fuck it up. But when you don't have a well-established character, you can make that groundwork and grow. That's why Spider-Man Noir is the perfect choice for a Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse ripoff or spinoff.
Time. Perfect time, Jay.
All right. Reiterating this again, I hate you both. All right. Moving to Nick's 20 seconds. 20 seconds on the board, Nick, when you're ready.
These are all Spider-Man ripoffs, and I take real issue with the fact that you're telling me that a character who's already been introduced to it wasn't well-established would do good in their own standalone movie. It's been proved that they can't be well-established. They're literally there just to provide support. They're good. He was a good support character, just like Spider-Ham, just like Penny Parker, but we know nothing about them, and it's because they're not interesting. The screenwriters knew it, the directors knew it, the studio knows it, we know it. We don't want to see it. We want to see Spider-Gwen, who has an interesting story. We can see their relationship with Peter Parker.
Time.
Strike that from the record.
We will strike.